They say money talks, wealth whispers. Have you ever wondered what that means? This might come as a surprise, but rich and wealthy aren't interchangeable at all. There's actually quite a lot of difference between the two, and only those on either side can tell you about it. We've all heard about old money, new money, generational wealth, but what does it all mean, and why does it matter? Lucky for you, we're here to explain. Stay with us as we dive deep into the difference between being rich and being wealthy. You might describe someone as rich or even wealthy if they have a lot of money, right? But there's a distinction between being wealthy and being rich depending on how much money we're talking about and how it's being used. A rich person may have a large income or have a lot of money, but if they lead a lavish lifestyle or accumulate a lot of debt, their money may only go so far. In contrast to a wealthy individual who's more concerned about protecting their long-term financial situation, they may live in the moment or spend freely. So you might think, is it better to be wealthier or richer? Let's look at this more closely. After all, your individual financial strategy can be shaped by being aware of their differences. If you want to understand what it means to be rich, we want you to picture some well-known rappers, football players, and Hollywood A-listers. Doesn't it look like they're yelling, "Look at me, I'm rich," in the clothes they wear and the lives they lead? Their fortune is due to the fact that they are generating a large income, paying big bucks, displaying their wealth for everybody to see. Yes, having a lot of money qualifies as being rich, but being wealthy doesn't mean you've got a large net worth or that you're always going to be financially stable. Why? Most rich people typically spend more money than they make, while spending less than what you make is a prerequisite for financial success. In other words, people who are rich have money to keep up with their affluent lifestyle, but they might not always have enough money lying around after spending big bucks, or they might be in debt at times. Wealthy people are comfortably wealthy. They could buy all that they want and still have enough lying around to go without worrying about a thing. Have you heard of this test to see where you stand? Think of something luxurious you want to buy. Can you buy it only once or multiple times? If you can manage once or twice, you're rich. But if it's not even denting your wallet, congratulations, you're wealthy. But there's more to it, which we'll talk about next. Simply processing a lot of money or income qualifies as being rich. What matters is the amount of money you have in your bank account. In fact, sometimes those who spend the most are the rich, not the wealthy. Being rich could also indicate that you owe a lot of money, if your spending exceeds your income. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Debt is definitely not a goal that should be pursued. Rich people may have a fancy car and a magnificent mansion in the best neighborhood, but those things are expensive. If you earn $200,000 a year but spend $225,000 on expenses, you may appear rich, but you're actually headed for financial ruin. In fact, many famous people have lost everything due to their lavish lifestyles. At one point, MC Hammer owned a $1 million home with 200 employees, $30 million in the bank, 19 racehorses, and a stable. However, all of those costs added up, and they, together with a number of litigation, led to Hammer filing for bankruptcy in 1996. In the end, he owed $13 million. If you ask someone if they'd like to be rich, most people would respond with yes. After all, get-rich-quick schemes wouldn't exist if everyone was content with their financial conditions. But is it really the goal? The most typical definition of rich that you'll find in dictionaries focuses on a person's possessions. A rich celebrity or social media influencer, for instance, can possess many homes, expensive vehicles, or priceless jewelry. They might spend their time partying with other rich people or traveling the world in a jet. The way one individual perceives wealth compared to others can differ significantly. For instance, Gen Z believes that having an annual income of $394,000 is enough to qualify as wealth. On the contrary, baby boomers think that being wealthy requires an annual salary of at least $1 million. Now, being wealthy is different from being rich because it includes having enough money to meet your requirements, as well as having the means to avoid working if you don't have to. Building up your assets and making your money work for you are the goals. It is, in other words, having a sizable net worth. Wealthy people don't always drive the newest automobiles, have the most extravagant parties, or own the newest technologies. They do possess a sizable amount of assets, including cash, investments, and real estate. If, for instance, your monthly expenses are $5,000 and you had $30,000 in savings, you would have enough money to last for around 6 months. If you put the $30,000 into investments and earn $5,000 each month from them, you're wealthy. The wealthiest people in America are frequently entrepreneurs. Warren Buffett is worth $80.8 billion, while Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is valued at $145 billion. In fact, Buffett is viewed as a thrifty billionaire. Despite his enormous riches, he continues to reside in a $31,500 Nebraska house he purchased in 1958. And although he paid $150,000 for a holiday beach property in California in 1971, he ultimately sold it for $7.5 million. Wealth is more enduring and permanent than simple riches. There are various methods for calculating wealth. For instance, the Census Bureau estimates American household wealth using net worth, as in the difference between your assets and liabilities is your net worth. Wealthy people may emphasize limiting their exposure to debt and acquiring assets to generate income or increase in value over time. Wealthy individuals may earn significantly more money than the average person and, more importantly, may spend less than they make. Some wealthy people acquire their wealth through birthright, while others do it through a combination of hard work, entrepreneurship, and wise investment. Some people distinguish between new money and old money when discussing wealth. While old money is passed down from generation to generation, new money is earned. Many of the wealthiest people in the US are well-known entrepreneurs or investors, such as Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, to mention a few. While some of these billionaires came from affluent families, others didn't have generational wealth and made their way up from scratch. It really makes all the difference. Here's another huge difference between the two which you might have noticed. The wealthy are often distinguished by their lack of appearance, as in, they don't look the part, and other people tend to be more flamboyant than those who are at the pinnacle of financial independence. Generally speaking, they aren't interested in showing off their wealth or partaking in activities associated with the wealth. As a result, it might be difficult to notice them because you might walk past them every day without even realizing it. In stark contrast, rich people generally lead extravagant lives that flaunt their wealth to others. They often flaunt their expensive automobiles, clothes, shoes, and other valuables to prove a point or to gain validation. And that's what we mean by money talks, wealth whispers. By the way, did you know that 70% of lottery winners reportedly became bankrupt within 7 years? Several winners have also tragically died and endured a variety of awful things after they win, which is referred to as the curse of the lottery. Being wealthy isn't the same as being rich when it comes to the rich versus wealthy debate. That's what we've established by now. But get this, with the right attitude, wealth can be achieved by anyone. How? Well, to start with, spend some of your salary on savings, prioritize paying off debt, and start investing early and frequently. Always keep your long-term objectives in mind if you want to be successful. Do you want an early retirement, own several homes, travel? Then consider buying up your investments and assets to last you several lifetimes rather than concentrating just on your income when considering your level of wealth. Now, you know the strange reality of it all, that a person who earns less than a rich person can actually be wealthier. So if you're looking to get wealthy, save, invest, set goals, and don't splurge. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Millionaire's Mind.